Hello, it's me, Julian Greystoke. This is Nigel. Welcome back to my library for another book review. Yes, I know many of you have probably noticed that we're only doing these occasionally. That's because my reading has slowed down a lot. I've been in a reading slump since 2020 and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. Yes, hello Nigel. But we are here to do another book today, and I am on this weird trend where I seem to be reading a lot of books that disappoint me. Sucks for me, entertaining for you. Today that book is He Started It, which I believe I would classify as like a family drama thriller, because it does go very thriller at the end, but a lot of it is more like the family drama, especially for the first like majority of the book. So if you like that kind of thing, maybe check this one out, but we're going to talk about the ways that it disappointed me. I will try to tag the parts where there are spoilers, because it is really hard to talk about how a book let you down without including spoilers. And of course, we're going to use Guilty Spark here to read the synopsis. Beth, Portia, and Eddie Morgan haven't all been together in years, and for very good reasons. We'll get to those later. But when their wealthy grandfather dies and leaves a cryptic final message in his wake, the siblings and their respective partners must come together for a cross-country road trip to fulfill his final wish and, more importantly, secure their inheritance. But time with family can be tough. It is for everyone. It's even harder when you're all keeping secrets and trying to forget a memory, a missing person and act your revenge, the man in his black truck who won't stop following your car, and especially when at least one of you is a killer and there's a body in the trunk, just to name a few reasons. But money is a powerful motivator. It is for everyone. Okay, first of all, this is not a spoiler. There's no body in the trunk. That's just referring to their grandfather's ashes that they're taking along. That's basically a lie to hook you in. I mean, to be technical, yes, there is a dead person in the trunk in the form of ashes, but that's it. By the way, I apologize today if my skin is a little bit shiny. I didn't feel like putting on foundation and stuff, because also my skin is a little bit, like, testy today. Nigel is doing that thing where he sits like that. So let's get on to my notes, shall we? If I can find them. Notes. There they are. So first of all, this cover. I hate it. There's another cover, I think, but this is the one that I saw, and I hate this cover. It doesn't do the book justice. It makes it look like kind of cheap, and honestly, this book deserves better than that cover. Initially, I was really into this story and quite hopeful that it was going to be a new favorite. It's got a lot of messy family stuff with all of these estranged adult children coming back together, having to go on this road trip, which is mimicking a road trip they went on with their grandfather when they were children. Their parents were in a really tough place, and their grandfather decided to take them on a road trip across the U.S. And so when he died, he said, "You have to go on this same road trip and spread my ashes at our last stop to get your inheritance." So our characters all pile into the vehicle that they've been given, which conveniently seems to have a GPS that's like tracking their path to make sure that they do as they're told and don't just say that they went on this road trip. And they are off. But there's all kinds of like juicy family stuff going on. The main character she starts out by telling you that she's had an affair. And so, like, you know right away that you're getting a sort of unlikable main character, but the author does a pretty good job of making me okay with following her anyway. And I think this book did kind of make me realize that I don't hate unlikable main characters. I hate badly done unlikable main characters, and I guess really isn't that the way for most of us? Like, we say, oh, I don't like this or that, but if it's done well, most of us can get on board with it. I did not dislike her as a main character through most of the book. There are spoilery things down the line that we will get to, but the fact that she was a very flawed person who came from a very flawed family, and she has had an affair, and she's thinking about her relationship with her husband and whether she wants to stay with him, and coming at it from the angle of he has not done anything like horrible to her. It's just sort of like their relationship is just like maybe not what she wanted, what she thought it would be. She's rethinking it. It felt really realistic. The relationships felt realistic. Like, even the bonkers bits of them felt realistic to me while I was reading the first part of this book, and I really liked that. So there is a early book plot twist that I am going to reveal, but I'm going to save the big spoilers for the end. This early book plot twist is that there is another sibling that is missing from this group. I guessed that that was going on. I'm like, there's got to be somebody else. And that is her missing sister who went missing at the end of the trip when they were younger. And the main character is kind of obsessed with finding her oldest sister, which makes it the second book in a row that I have read with a character obsessed with finding their missing sister. And now I'm reading another book with that theme. And I'm like, I did not know that that was a trend. One thing that made me chuckle is that their grandfather took them to really odd places. Their grandfather was not the best of men. We find out terrible things that he has done as well, and he takes them to strange places such as the Bonnie and Clyde Museum and other sort of violent places, which is the theme of this book, violence and love. But the spouses of the main characters are like, wow, your grandfather's really weird. He took you to all of these horrible places where you're looking at massacres and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's not that weird. Did I grow up in a really strange family? Going to the Bonnie and Clyde Museum does not seem like an odd road trip for me. I could see us doing that when we were younger. Most of this book is travel and family drama. So if those are two things that you do not like, you will not like the first part of this book. And by first part, I mean the majority. There's a very small section at the end that is not that. And you are getting jumps back to the past from their original road trip and jumps to them in the present with their current road trip. Those two things playing off each other each time they get to a location. You kind of find out what happened in the past as well at that location. Lots of secrets being revealed slowly. I think the author did a pretty good job of disseminating all of these little secrets right about the time where I would maybe start to get a little bit bored. Oh, bam, there's a new secret from either the past or the present to pop up and take my interest. However, and now we come to the big however. This book, at the final hour, had a tone switch which did not work for me. It went from fairly believable, if a little bit overdramatic family thing, to balls to the wall, absolutely bonkers thriller ending. And the tone switch was too extreme for me. I wasn't into it, alright? So that's the basics of what happened, but now I'm going to spoil what happened because I really want to talk about it and what it did to the characters, especially the main character that I was coming to enjoy. So, okay, we're gonna talk spoilers. And then we'll come back and we'll wrap this up. So please don't leave completely. I will have a few more thoughts at the end before I do my outro. Just skip to that. So, spoiler time. Alright. So the balls to the wall bonkers begins with our main character deciding out of the blue that she's going to kill her husband. He has been, while mildly annoying, there's absolutely nothing fundamentally wrong with this guy. And we get the idea, there's a moment that's a load-bearing moment that I just don't think can handle it, where her husband, smacks his hands on the dashboard of the car, and she has a trauma reaction, which I completely related to, because she was abused as a child. And so when he smacks his hand, her trauma reaction is oh, violence. He's going to become more violent. People who hit inanimate objects eventually hit people, because that has been her childhood experience. And I'm like, okay, good. That is a realistic, in the moment trauma reaction. But she decides, off of that small moment, to murder him. And I think that the book is trying to say, because this book does have some themes that it's trying to weave in, I think it's trying to say that abused people become psychopaths, or at least in her case, because we see her as a child and she never had any psychopathic leanings. She was a sweet, innocent kid just trying to do her best. And now, as an adult, yes, she's a little bit cold and she's a little bit calculating, but I still did not by her murdering of her husband. She just very calmly takes him out in the lake, drugs him, and drowns him, and then hides the body. And I was like, where the fuck did this come from? The book did not set up such an action well enough. If it had, I would have been fine, but it didn't. The book really dropped the ball on setting up for her to murder her husband pretty much out of the blue. The whole book has her deciding whether she's going to divorce him or not, whether she likes to stay with him, but never once do you think, oh, maybe she might kill him. I hated that plot point. It didn't need to be there. I don't understand what it was doing, because it didn't really matter either. It didn't matter. They all just believed that her husband went home. No repercussions came of it. It's like the author wanted to get rid of this character, and the author also wanted to hammer home the theme that the main character is not a good person. And like the story starts out with that theme being discussed of, oh, I'm not the hero, heroes are good, I'm not good, I cheated on my husband. And then it continues with the heroes, I'm definitely not the hero, look, I killed my husband. But like, where did it come from? Where did it come from? Not set up well enough. I was seeing like low star reviews for this book, and I wasn't reading any of the reviews, but I was seeing the low stars, and I was like reading the first part, and I'm like, why is it getting low stars? Maybe this kind of family drama isn't people's thing. And then I got to that twist, and I was like, oh, it's because this happened, and it made no fucking sense. And then we just continued to go balls to the wall from there, because the people that were following them turned out to just be kind of a red herring. Like, they mattered to the story, but it really wasn't a thing. I kind of guessed it wasn't a thing. And also, like, at the end, everybody's trying to double-cross everybody else, and it's one of those sort of almost cartoonish, I've got a gun aimed at you, and my partner and I are going to escape. Oh no, my partner has got a gun aimed at me, and they're going to escape. Whoop, 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 whoop. It's just like crazy times, and like everybody is getting shot, and it's just like the tone switch was so extreme. Okay, spoiler over, but I'm just gonna reiterate that there at the end is a huge switch in tone and a character doing something that I did not believe that they would have done. The book just did not do an adequate job of setting it up, and the ending goes balls to the wall with twists and double crosses, and it's just like, where did this come from? Yes, there were bonkers moments, but they felt believable, and then this stuff started happening, and I was like, nope. And of course, the author is trying to discuss some themes in this book, including the theme of what is a hero in a story. They start out the story, the main character starts out the story, her first words to you are like, I'm not a hero, heroes are good, and I cheated on my husband, so I can't be the hero. And the author is trying to continue that throughout the story, but every time they really try to hit hard on that theme, they fumble. So I really feel like they should have just kept it more subtle, and maybe let the story evolve in a more natural way, instead of going absolutely just bonkers at the end. So ultimately, when I was first reading this book, I was like, okay, this might be a new 5-star, at least a 4. But then we got to the end and I had to drop it down to a 3. I might even say it's a 2 at this point, but I gave it a 3 because I didn't really know where I wanted to put it, because I enjoyed my time with the majority of the book. The ending just... Usually I don't let an ending ruin a book for me, but this one was just so frustrating and abrupt. It gets real bonkers and then it just ends. And I don't like it. I don't care for it. That was my review of He Started It. Have you read it? Comment below and let me know. You probably haven't read it. I don't know if too many people actually have. Let me know if there are any other thrillers that you think I should check out. I don't mind a slow mover, apparently, if the characterization is good. So those are like my key points. If the characters are cardboard cutouts, though, slow mover is not going to work for me. There are lots and lots of other videos here on this channel, including tons of book reviews for you to check out, so I'm sure you'll find something else you'll like to watch. Or check out my social media, linked in the doobly-doo. I've also got links in the doobly-doo to much of my writing if you're interested. This is normally where I would plug my book, The Wolf and the Hawk, but actually I feel like this is a better tie-in to a book of mine that you can read for free called Second Floor, which is a sort of thriller novella that you can check out for yourself. It's like horror thriller. There are supernatural elements to it. Go check it out for yourself. You can read it for free. And don't forget that you can also support me over on my Patreon, where your donations help me run this channel and also help me self-publish my own books, which is a very costly process. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see all of you again next time with whatever it is I'm doing next time. Bye!
Got this! Here's the guy there just in the nick of time! What does that make us?
Big damn heroes, sir!
Ain't we just?
Our big damn heroes for this month are Merwin, Kit, Hidden Glade, Persephone, Light Julie, Anna, Belle, and Sophie, Callison, Ray, Shelby, Zaire, Jesper, Irene, Scribbling Cat, Savvy, Jenny, Amanda, Sarah, Lisa, and Lennox. They say I'm a dangerous man. Better run fast as you can. Don't you look back. Every bone in my body's bad. Fire burning, the skies are turning. They say I'm a dangerous man. Oh.